VIBErations podcast, episode 48, Peter Barry, recorded on Wednesday the 19th of April 2024. Hi, I'm Gary Brightman, and this is my periodic podcast called VIBErations. Established in 2018, Vibe is a book and music shop situated in Moi Wo on Lantau Island in Hong Kong. Vibe ticks over as usual with the kind support of our Vibe family of volunteers, Elaine, Carrie, Susan, Sam, Charlie and Stephen. And with invaluable support from Phil and James for our Vibe-produced Facebook Live events. We continue to support the Lantau and wider Hong Kong community. You can watch all of these events on our YouTube channel at Live at Vibe HK. We have 3 events lined up for the coming 2 months. Saturday the 18th of May is Vibe's 6th birthday and we'll have our usual family and friends over to party with us, whilst we supply some good old-fashioned vinyl DJing. On Saturday the 1st of June we have Sam Barber coming to entertain you with his own brand of folk and country inspired music. I've just interviewed Sam for the 49th VIBErations podcast, which I hope to release next week, prior to his gig. On Saturday the 8th of June we have the 6-piece Black Velvet Collective playing Vibe with their brand of homespun folk music. We've recently sold out of new vinyl record players from Audio-Technica, but a new stock will be arriving next week. Reserve them early to avoid disappointment. Now, one of my passions is Hong Kong history, and this week's interview very much taps into that. More than anyone I've met to date, musician and author Peter Barry has 50 years of Hong Kong and Moi Wo experience to offer. Because of this, I've chosen to make this a 2-part podcast. Born in 1939, Peter grew up on a family farm in the Lancashire Pennine hill country. A mischievous boy and a friend to all, Peter delighted in all things outside of school, not inside. Working on his parents' dairy farm, he taught himself to yodel, taking advantage of the acoustic echo in the dairy. Little did Peter Barry know how this would change the course of his life. From a childhood on a hilltop farm, as the landscape of rural northern England changed forever, to building the legendary Snowy Dam in Australia, from playing gigs in Lancashire village halls to recording albums in Australia and entertaining troops in the Vietnam War. Peter Barry's long and colourful life has bumped up against history time after time in a truly remarkable way. Peter and his wife, Ling, first set eyes on Silvermine Bay in 1970, from a vantage point on the walk over from the Trappist monastery. Immediately, the young couple felt that they'd be calling this place home for good. Back in those days, terrace farming rice paddy fields could be seen, with farmers and their water buffalo ploughing the fields. 50 years on, 4 children, many bicycles, trolleys, guitars, songs and a few business ventures and misadventures later, Peter has taken stock of his remarkable life to share with his family, friends and those interested to join him on this entertaining life adventures via the first volume of his memoirs, For Pete's Sake, from 1939 to 1970. This ever-resourceful, simple dairy farmer turned adventurer makes every page a testament to a life lived fully. So, welcome to Vibe, Peter.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Good, great to see you here. We've talked about this for a long time, I think, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We're ready for it.
Okay, so what we're going to do, as we always do, is start with 10 warm-up questions.
Okay.
And the first question is, do you have a favourite book or author?
James Harriott would be my favourite author.
Yes.
He's a man from the country, as I am from Lancashire, and he was in Yorkshire. But the time in the turn of the century, I was about a generation behind him. So in many ways, he was the doctor for the animals, and I was the animals needing a doctor.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So that's James Herriot,
That's
isn't
James
it? That's
Herriot.
All Creatures Great and Small.
That's right.
They even had a TV series on it, which I
Basically
loved.
spin and all sorts of things he was up to, but I could see my life through him. We were still in the Shire Horse era, so it was all no machinery, it was all hand loft.
Right.
And that's my favourite memories of my early times in Brackenley Farm as the family farm.
And I've seen a Shire horse. They are enormous.
Oh, they're enormous.
They're
yeah,
sort of,
very,
6 foot
yeah.
tall or something like that to the back.
massive hooves on them, you know.
Yeah.
And the whole
very heavy.
The whole
thick set.
industry of the agriculture at this time was everything through the Shire horse.
They were the forerunners to the tractor, effectively, weren't they?
Yeah, right. I came home one day from boarding school only to find all the horses had gone, and the first David Brown tractor came in.
Right.
And so it was a big change in farming in Lancashire.
Well, and when would that have been? What sort of?
1945.
45, so just after the war.
Just after the war, right, exactly.
Got the
My
machinery.
father, who was a businessman, sold his business and bought a farm.
Right.
In 1945. So my early memories go back to the horse-drawn era.
Fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah.
Do you have a favourite musical artist?
Well, they have really rather strange, though. You wouldn't believe it, but Slim Whitman.
Okay.
I found very easy to imitate because I too, when learned very, very early on, learned to yodel.
Oh yes.
And that was something that Slim Whitman made during his time.
Yes.
Rosemary, China Doll.
Yeah.
And so these ones affected me. And of course, working on my father's farm in the dairy that have this incredible echoing sound, which made it very easy for me to learn how to yodel. So I always had a love of doing that. In fact, I don't call it yodeling anymore, I call it break singing.
Break singing.
Yeah, where you split the voice up. And the other one was Lonnie Donegan.
Oh yes, yeah, with the washboard.
Absolutely,
sort of skiffle,
amazing,
wasn't it?
Yeah. I only tuned into casually, and when I was surfing the web, this came along with Lonnie Donegan.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he was so prolific, but actually he was playing his old songs. The Beatles sound comes right there with it. It's amazing. I didn't realise there'd be a connection, but there is.
There is, yeah. Yeah.
So,
I know they were influenced by Lonnie Donegan, and
he was given on the This Is Your Life.
Oh yes.
It was a wonderful TV programme, and they chose him.
Yeah.
And through him, that programme, I learnt all his songs again. And there's such a big Beatles relationship between prior to the Beatles.
Yeah.
Lonnie Donegan.
Yeah.
Very good. My Old Man's a Dustman.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, I can hear it now.
Yeah.
I can hear those songs. Can I just ask, can you still yodel?
Well, I can't now because I've got Parkinson's disease, and it was diagnosed about 3 years ago, and I find it quite difficult. Now, I had to give up playing guitar because my fingers simply wouldn't match the fretboards. So I had to say goodbye to my music.
Oh, that's sad.
Very sad. I miss it very much.
Yes.
And yodeling has given me any claim to fame was because I was able to yodel very well. And I didn't think so that what I learnt when my father's dairy would ever become to me as a way of making my living.
No.
In places like Vietnam and Australia. Fast forward to 1983 where I did a lot of recording in yodeling. And I've been something that caught my eyes very much to develop it.
Yes.
I think that somebody along the line will learn to do this because you don't hear it at all now, of course. It's very, very much an art worth following, actually.
Yeah, a dying art. Can I ask a layman's question? When you yodel, is it sort of freestyle, or do you yodel to music?
It's learn to music.
Yeah, so to notes.
Yes.
Yes.
If I was going to ask you, I'd ask you a cuckoo call.
Right.
My nephew, you can play it for the listeners if they'd like to hear that.
Cuckoo call, okay.
Cuckoo call, yeah.
All right, we'll see if we can play that now.
As I wander breeze through the trees seemed to sigh. Lo, I hear the cuckoo's sweet call. Lo, I hear the cuckoo's sweet call.
And Cuckoo Call, that's by, is just yourself singing on that, or is that
Just myself singing,
the
playing guitar, player.
Okay.
So piano accordion.
Okay.
We hired for the job, but it comes through very strongly. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful type of yodeling, actually.
Favourite films?
Favourite film is actually Avatar.
Oh yes.
For me, it just blew my mind that it was so incredibly thought out.
Yes.
Storyline, the old story between good and evil, and the characters that they made up unbelievable. It's amazing. So,
Preferred drink?
well, I have to say, without any doubt, that the most wonderful drink that could be created was simply water,
Yes.
because without it, life wouldn't exist. But I've never taken to any alcohol at all, not because I've any beliefs about alcohol, but I've always been poor, and I'm working life.
Do you have a life motto?
Well, I thought about that a bit of time. I've never even thought of anything, but it would suddenly go like this: love and let live. Always give your best. That's it.
What was the best advice you were given?
Well, I've got here, thinking back, my mum, of course.
Yeah.
Always be yourself, which I found very difficult when you're starting off. You know, you tend to be copying somebody else. You know.
Yes,
Mhm.
true. Finish your sentence. I live in Hong Kong because.
It's my home.
Okay, so if we can just go back to, you were born in Lancashire, you spent your life early life on a farm. How did you get into music?
Well, it's very interesting, really, because I was so shy. My nature was so shy. I longed to be able to speak freely in public, but it was absolutely a no-no. Until I had the very good fortune of watching a rugger match, where the players came on, and the team made a circle, and somebody in the middle was playing guitar, and they sang their team song. And I thought to myself, that's what I can do. I can do something physical.
Yes.
The guitar looks easy to play, gives pleasure to other people, and maybe I can get some self-confidence in myself, which I did do.
Okay, and how old were you at this time?
I was
Teenager?
Well, we've got Lonnie Donegan and his crew.
Yes. 50s, would that be?
50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Late 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, interesting though that you were shy and you thought, well, I'll take up guitar in that case, but then that would put you on the stage, and that would
right.
make you the focal point. Would
That's
that be a
right.
bit scary, or?
It was a bit scary, of course, and picking up the guitar was something very challenging for me. My family, mother and father, thought I was nuts, of course. And he used to say, go and practice your banjo, my dad used to say.
So taking the mickey out of it's a banjo, but it's not.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a guitar.
So I learned and I took lessons from a guy called Harold Simpson,
Okay.
who I had lessons for 9 months. And then he just about put able to put a few chords together and said to me, well, Pete, you know what I know now, it's all up to you. And I thought, well, I can't even play the thing yet. So, but I persevered.
Yes.
And I enjoyed, and eventually wanted to be good enough to play in a band, but the local people playing bands are just about to give up. So there's 2 or 3 chosen, and I took the best of both, and
Right.
formed our own group called the Barristers.
The Barristers. Okay, so you formed a band called the Barristers. Why the Barristers? What was the name?
Well, I use Barry, which is my surname.
Okay.
So
But it was just you were Barry.
There was me, and then I took the saxophone player and the trumpeter.
Yeah.
And what else? A piano player.
Right.
And that was the Barristers. And
Okay.
don't forget, we had all the traditional songs that people wanted, because the music halls were still strong.
Yes.
And the old songs from the Second World War. So we had a huge repertoire, actually, of which I had to produce
Yes.
music for all the different instruments, because they're all readers, they're not buskers.
Right. Okay. So you were doing sort of covers
Right.
of songs
That's right.
at that stage. Were you writing anything, or
No, I wasn't.
you're probably struggling just enough to get?
Very much. I remember the first time I went to be on stage was I went to visit a musician in the Working Men's Club in Preston. So when I was there talking to when he said, somebody says, "Hey Pete, how about you give us a song?" I thought, "Oh no, not now," because somebody did that, and 3 or 4 people get up and say, "Yeah, go on, let's hear you sing your song." So I thought, "Oh heavens!" Okay, I said, "Little Bitty Tear." So no, that's one. Burr Lives.
Right.
Little Bitty Tear Let Me Down.
Okay.
And I sang that, it was quite a big success, but I was quite embarrassed actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a big break thing for me, and then I wrote,
Yeah.
you break the ice and you bring
Yes.
it's very good.
Then after that,
Yeah.
you've
I think,
started gaining
yeah.
confidence, I guess.
So I ran the band for a couple of years actually, and I
Right.
was so much trouble with trying to milk cows and take care of the farm, and as well as music.
Yeah.
Forever they're asking for new. I mean, there's this time of Elvis Presley, so these bringing new songs out every week
Yes.
to sort the music out. It's a big strain on me. In the end, I had to give in. I said, I just can't do any more. So I then decided to go to Australia.
There's a £10 POM.
1964.
What do you do in Australia then?
I put myself down as a plant operator,
Okay.
and I was given a pick and shovel.
Right.
In fact, the officer in charge of all the people coming in was a big Australian who hated POMs, and he gave me a great introduction of the worst of Australia.
Oh, really?
His language was absolutely horrifying to me,
Yes.
particularly to me as I'd left a very religious family.
Right.
So it was very difficult.
Quite rough and
How to take that. Certainly got all the round edges for the nastiness.
yes. Yeah.
But anyway, it just so happened the first time I went with my a ticket to go and enter the office and get my clothes and all sorts.
Yeah.
And there I was given a room in the camp. It was all men,
Right.
2,000 men together.
2,000 men.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it was rough, but it was an amazing opener for me to Australia, because so many countries, very few little Australians, how they'd all come clamoring to looking for a new life, and most of them.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing. My first room, Twins Cap was the name of the camp,
Right.
and I go to number 15 room I was given, and it was 8 by 8 feet, with enough for a bed and a little place to put your clothes.
Yeah.
But it had a great canteen,
Right.
24 hours open,
Right.
run by, of all people, Chinese.
Wow. Okay.
Had the contract for
Yeah.
catering.
So you're in Australia. You're working on these projects,
Yeah.
in labouring, and then where does the music come in?
Well,
to?
I was told I took 6 months leave
Yeah.
to go and clearing snow clearing in the snowy mountains for the skiers.
It's just not what my view of Australia. It's weird, isn't it? That you don't,
It's
clearing snow for the
so
skiers in
magnificent.
Australia. Very random.
But I did love it, and I got a job
Yeah.
with the Department of Roads, who
Right.
advertised, and I got two. They were after two, and I got one job, and the other guy, when I arrived at the Wilson's camp, taxi rolled in, and this curly, black-haired man with a strong Cornish accent comes in, and his name is Peter Goodenough.
Right.
And I'd never heard it. I got mixed up with it. I said, good enough. He said, what's good enough, you know? And he said, no, that's my name, Peter Goodenough, you know.
Peter Goodenough.
And we were together, a team together,
Yeah.
clearing the roads. All we had was a truck with a big blade on the front, hydraulically up or down.
Right.
And we had that was our job, at night time, whatever, to keep the road open. And he was on night shift and we were on day shift, and to make sure the road was always open.
Yeah.
But when I got to the camp, I heard these two Irishmen, next door to me, got the next bit, singing Irish songs on guitar. And I thought, wow, that's really good. So I went next door, and sure enough, they all welcomed me with open arms. Yes, sure, you can. They had all their Irish going, singers going, and we had a great time.
Yes.
And then somebody mentioned to on the walk. He said, "There's a guy here who's writing songs about the snowy and everything. You might be able to do something there."
Yeah.
So I went down, and Ulick was one evening. He was always preaching around at each other's houses, singing songs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Lovely assortment of people. And sure enough, I met Ulick O'Boyle, and he just had a disappointing time with one person, Harold, somebody who was supposed to be booked for singing. He never used to turn up. So he tried me out, and I sang one song with him, it was Jindabyne Farewell.
It's time to say goodbye to Jindabyne. It's been my home these 50 years of time. Now the mountains in their winter snow and the snowy river down below are whispering farewell to Jindabyne. And now farewell, old home of mine. They're going to flood the valley and the town of Jindabyne. When I was young, my father said to me, upon this spot I'm going to plant a tree, tall and strong and made of pine, to mark the land that I've made mine, and you'll make yours, my boy, in time to be. But now farewell, old tree of mine. They're going to flood the valley and the town of Jindabyne.
We sent a recording, an endless tape, down to RCA. Somebody gave us we got an answer back. Yeah, we like your thing so much. Please come in, sign a contract. I thought, wow, this is it.
Sign a contract
With RCA. You know.
with RCA,
Yeah.
no less.
I thought it was fantastic. But there are beautiful songs when you get to hear them. They really are good.
Yeah.
And
So this is you and
Ulick and his wife.
his wife,
Right.
right?
Who went by the name of Anne Rutherford. He got talking one day about where they got married, and they ran away from their families and went to up in Scotland, the Anvil, you know.
They ran away to John O'Groats.
They had
Brilliant.
Like me, the two things you could do. You could either go to Canada or Australia. I chose Australia, and so did he. That's how we met. But we got in very much, and all those songs that you see on there are all Ulick's work.
Right.
And I was very happy to be part of it, very happy.
So Ulick was the songwriter, and did he play an instrument?
Oh, guitar.
He was guitar.
He played guitar.
And
I was just a singer.
You were a singer. You weren't playing the guitar at that stage.
Oh yes, oh yeah,
You were,
oh
yes,
yeah. I had my own dance band before that.
And that's how you formed
The Settlers.
The Settlers.
Yeah.
And you signed to RCA, so you have an album out from those days,
exactly.
which would be late 60s, late 1960s.
Yeah, right.
And we actually have that album here in the shop, which his son has.
Yeah, a little bit of
copy
proof.
Yeah, with a bit of proof, yeah. So we're going to display that in the shop for a month or two before we give it back to Stephen, because it's family crown jewels, this thing. But
it is amazing for two reasons. Is that it was very successful. There'd been other Australian singing songs, but not to that extent.
What happened when you got signed up by RCA?
Well, what happened after we recorded the record? Actually, and we had some wonderful musicians that played for us actually, and we had Don Andrews, the #1 guitar player in Australia at the time, and we created a really beautiful album actually, and our songs are spot on, working harmonies out and stuff. So, and of course, the record itself has never had tremendous success for this record that you have here.
So that album had great success in Australia? Or?
Yeah, it did in Australia, great success. In fact, the greatest success for a folk song. Around what they call platinum, which in that days would be 50,000 or more.
50,000, so it sold 50,000 copies, which made it a platinum album.
And it's still selling today.
Is it?
In Snowy Mountains, it's still selling, yeah.
It's still available and selling.
Yeah.
And is it in all formats? Is it sort of CD and cassette?
It's amongst other stuff, I think. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But I've kept you died of Elvis some time ago.
Okay.
But, and his wife soldiered on as a teacher somewhere.
Okay, so you recorded in Australia. At some point then from Australia you went to Vietnam to perform for the American troops.
Actually, we gave up very shortly after we got the record.
Yeah.
I wanted to go a different way. Went to Sydney, where I spent nearly a year doing the circuit in Sydney.
Okay.
And which was another thing for me, because it required a lot of showmanship and talking through mics, cracking jokes, bad jokes.
I should think they're not a forgiving audience, the Aussies as well, for a POM.
I was just going through, anyway, the phone rang one day, and this is Mr. Michael Yang, agency. They want to know, can you go to Vietnam, join the show? I said, I'd love to. So I cancelled everything else. And they said, if you go down to Performers Club and you'll see them practicing, you can go down there. I went down there straight away, and they said, okay, you're our country singer. Because I had recently done the yodeling record.
Okay.
And the Settlers under my belt, so they're very happy to book me. And I joined this show, which is certainly worth the mention, because we got to the Performers Club and nothing had been arranged at all. Two Americans had coughed up the money to put this show together.
Right.
And when we got to Saigon, we got the news that we have to face an audition, and in the audition will be the CEOs of the army branch of whatever.
Right.
And you be categorised into 1, 2 and 3, and anything over that you can't perform.
Right.
You're not up to standard.
Right.
Well, here we are, a brilliant piano player, an extraordinary drummer, more African than Australian.
Yeah.
And an Australian keyboard player and his wife a singer, rather a buxom lady.
Right.
And so we went to perform it, and when we went it up, there were two Filipino shows before us, and they were absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, Filipinos.
Beautifully turned out, jokes, everyone laughed. It was an incredible entertainment. And then another one came, a Korean I think it was, another beautifully produced show. And we think, God, we've got to perform against this lot, you know.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute disaster because we'd never been put together
No.
properly at all, nothing at all. So until my solo came on for the two of us to sing a song together, which was hopeless.
Right.
The person that put up the money, he said to me, he said, play American song, play American song. And I said, I don't know any. You know? But cheating heart, oh, cheating heart, okay. Your cheating heart. And then he'd go, we'll make you weep. We'll make you weep. And then performing, he was singing them the words before me.
Oh, right.
And you know what, as soon as I started, your cheating heart, whoa, hooray, fantastic. I didn't realise that the whole American country western scene, which I didn't know existed, but it played a big part in America.
Yes.
And they all loved the cheating heart, so all the other so-called musicians
Yes.
didn't know there was no plans for the tour, and we failed.
Yeah.
So we failed it, and we rolled around this table, licking our wounds, and Alan Fitzpatrick came and said, well, never mind, we can book you illegally. Yeah. I said, okay, but usually you're going to be for 3 months, and then you can extend for another 3 months. But we went for 3 months, and then we left
Right.
Vietnam. But in the meantime, I got to know a lot of American songs. So I went back to Australia, got a telegram from agents in Vietnam that if I could bring myself out there, they'll get me, book me, which is what I did. I went back into Vietnam for another 9 months.
So this was at the time of the Vietnam conflicts, and
it was American had just been overrun, and the Tet Offensive. Security was a big problem.
Yeah, I would imagine.
When I went around Vietnam for over a year in these gorgeous places,
Yes.
singing sometimes to 3 Americans, about 300 Vietnamese who didn't understand anything. But I enjoyed my life in Vietnam very much. It was very sad when it all closed.
It's a beautiful country and beautiful people, aren't they?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful people.
Yeah.
So I had a beautiful experience there.
And then what made you then go from Vietnam? You then went to Taiwan, I understand.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
My visa was always just to go into. I've been there before. What used to happen is you would pay for 3 months, go out, renew your visa, come back again.
Yes.
And when you go out, you go for the agent would book you somewhere else, like Okinawa, Thailand, Philippines, wherever.
Yeah.
Americans had units everywhere.
But what brought you first to Hong Kong? Why Hong Kong?
Well, I took on a plane out of Saigon after being working into Americans for a couple of years, and as I tried down, I didn't know where I was going to go, and what I had in line when I finally the last plane took me out of Saigon, and all I had was a 2 weeks stint in 2 different restaurants, big restaurants, which was managed by agents, of course,
right,
in Taipei. And you do 2 venues singing in one night to 2 different restaurants, which I did. And after that, they had nothing.
Right.
The last, I'm always a great believer of providence. There's always somebody there, especially with people like myself. I'm a handyman, I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, coming from a farming background.
Exactly, quite right, yeah.
Yes.
Especially because of that. And the last restaurant, the last show that I did in the first restaurant in Taipei, after singing the last song, I happened to look across and I see these 4 ladies enjoying their night out.
Right.
And as I got off the stage, I happened to look back and they said, "Hey, come and join us," you know.
Right.
So I did that. She had this incredible plaited hair, so thick and so on. I said, that's a beautiful, beautiful plaited plate you've got. It's absolutely beautiful. He said, you like it? I said, yes, it's amazing. He went, you can have it. Yeah.
So it's like a wig or hairpiece.
It really hit me so hard.
Yeah.
I said, well, this is certainly going to get us somewhere. So surely I must marry this girl. And to cut a long story short, we got married in 5 days.
No.
Yeah.
From that night when you met her and you had that conversation about her hairpiece.
Exactly, yeah.
5 days. That was true love at first sight then, really, wasn't it?
Totally. I didn't know, and you know what? It's still that way today, you know. We have a big family with 4 beautiful children.
Yes. 3 sons and a daughter?
Yeah, right.
What was her name?
Jan Manling. Jan Manling, yeah.
Yeah.
L-I-N-G.
Oh, Jan Manling.
Manling, yeah.
Yeah. And so 5 days later, there you are getting married to her in Taipei?
In Taipei, yeah.
Right.
She organised everything for us. And it just totally blew my mind.
Blew your socks off? Wow.
I thought, this is what they mean when love is blind, and I realised it's true.
That is amazing. What a great, brilliant story. And you're still with that lovely woman.
Very, very much so. And I got fantastic children. Really. No, she was actually born in mainland China. She was very interesting.
Okay.
She was under the power of Chiang Kai-shek.
Chiang Kai-shek, right,
He was
okay.
a strong man then in Taipei.
Yes, yeah.
Very much liked by everyone, he was. And we came, we had to, getting her a passport so she could leave Taiwan was the hang-up.
Right, right.
So we got married and I left. So the only alternative open to me was surely must be Hong Kong because it's English.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So it's one of the regrets I have actually. I wish I should have stayed on further. I'm not a man of languages or academically blessed in any way at all.
Yeah.
And but I thought, I'll have to go to Hong Kong. There must be something there for me in Hong Kong.
Yes.
So and then I took a room in North Point.
Right.
My health went down the hill very quickly because it was terrible pollution at this time.
Okay.
Full of factories.
Right. Right.
And somebody said, well, if you want a healthy life, you might try Lantau, because there's a ferry out there, you get lovely clean air.
Yeah.
So I went there, and that's the story, you know.
And that's how you got here?
Yeah.
That's, 54 years later, here you are still.
Yeah. Right.
That's an amazing story, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's how you got to live in Hong Kong. That's why you see Hong Kong as your home.
Right.
Do you have a favourite area of Hong Kong?
Oh, most definitely, Mui War.
Well, it'd have to be, wouldn't it? If it wasn't, you'd be questioning that one, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, no, it's really. I know all the people know me. All the workforce in Hong Kong. They all know my family. They all know.
Yeah.
Our first night out here, after getting in, there was a noise outside and a crash and the window broken. I thought, good heavens, because the place was all totally open, this house.
Yes.
The windows were all broken and everything. So we were looking outside, couldn't see anything. Next night, same thing happened.
Huh.
And I thought, this is really strange. And so the next night, we locked the front door and opened the back door and stayed out the back door. And then sure enough, 3 or 4 boys come in, break into the place.
Wow.
And
it's quite scary.
And I noticed that there was a broken concrete path in front. When they saw us coming, they hopped over the wall. But there was a bicycle coming behind them, and there's a slight rise up. I don't know if you know where the front of the road.
Where at the Moi Wo Inn are we still?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a rise up.
Right, where the rocks are going up.
Yes.
To the other side.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought, and I chased this bicycle that had followed them, And of course, the guy on the bicycle looked round and see me following them. They thought he was up to no use. So he pedalled faster. I started running faster. Go over the rise in the water like that, and the boys were sitting on a rock there, and I grabbed the first one, you know.
Wow.
And
That's pretty gutsy.
Bring him out, yeah. And our neighbour next to him, I said, my wife went to call the police.
Yes.
And which she did do, and the police came running down the beach blowing his whistle. the English policeman.
Yeah.
And this guy we had a heck of a fight dragging him back to our home. Wow. And he was shouting out, "Hey!" in the last one, "He's going to kill me! He's going to kill me!" Anyway, that's what our neighbour was telling him what he was shouting, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But the police came, took him away, and took them up to the police station on top of the hill, which is still there.
Still there, yeah.
Yeah, and then they told on all his mates, and they rounded up three of them up at the police station. I was taken to a clinic to take care of my bruises and stuff, because we had a heck of a fight, dragging him back.
Really?
And he was the butcher's son.
Oh my God! Most people would have just turned over, but you actually confronted him.
Yeah,
wow!
And then he told on all his friends. That's why they quickly ripped round and got them all. And they said, "What are you doing in there?" He said, "Well," he said, "in that place there was a Western man and a Chinese lady. We wanted to see what would happen when the lights went out."
And that was it. That was it. They weren't necessarily there to burgle. They were just intrigued because a Westerner and a local, a Chinese woman.
They said, "Did you want to press charges?" And I said, "Well, what do you reckon?" He said, "Well, if you want to stay here." And I said, "Well, we do. This is going to be our home now." And he said, "Well, I'll just drop the charges." He said, "Never mind." So they cut their hair and let them go. Next year we go down to the village for Yamcha. That was 3 guys with their hair cut.
What a story! That's amazing, isn't it?
After that, we've been totally respected.
Yes. Yeah.
We call it, can we pass the test, if you like?
Yes, exactly.
But we've grown to love the Lows here. They all know each other.
Yes.
They all went to school in that primary school.
Okay, the primary school around the back near where you live now, in between Luk Tai Tong and Tai Tai Tong.
And then all went to different places to school.
Yeah. I suppose that's it. You fought fire with fire, didn't you, in a way?
Yeah.
You stood up to them, and it was really just intrigue, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
No malice necessarily there, but I think it probably stood you in good stead. Obviously going forward, then you're probably a bit of a legend, actually. Don't mess with this guy. You know, he's just come back from Vietnam. He's married to a local, and
it was very good. Ling had a problem because you only speak Mandarin, you know, and they're all Cantonese here.
Right.
Hakkanese,
Yeah, so they were speaking Hakka.
But I said to her, when you go out shopping, said use your own tongue to see what happens. So she did. She went out to this was in North Point, actually.
So her own tongue was Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was so surprised because they all understood her. They all understood her Mandarin, but they came back in Hakkanese or Cantonese, and that's how she learned it pretty quickly.
Right.
The local dialect.
Yeah. So then from that she got to learn Cantonese.
Cantonese,
and even some Hakka, I guess.
I'm ashamed to say that I still never fluent in Chinese. I'm very poor academically. Well, I mean, we came to Hong Kong. I went to the Trappist monastery first, as you probably know.
Yes.
And from there, we're thinking we were in Lantau Island. We were actually in Peng Chau. And they said, well, there's a junk that goes across to the Trappist monastery. So we took that across. And landed over, we took the ferry, which was full of milk bottles. And because they had a farm, the locals had a wonderful farm, actually. Being a dairyman myself, I could appreciate it.
Yes.
And then we took a trip over the top to look down at Silvermine Bay, and when I saw the picture, it was absolutely like looking into the Bible.
Really?
It was totally untouched,
Yeah.
and only farmers and fishermen and the little shopkeepers. That's all that was here. Rice was grown everywhere.
Right. So it's all paddy fields.
All paddy fields and vegetables. The reason was, of course, that the China board was closed. No food came in from China, and Hong Kong had to choose it to feed itself with its own farmers. And so that was the result. As the farmers were all well looked after by the government.
Yes.
That's how they ate.
Yeah. So that would have been around 1970, and you would have come over that bit of headland.
That's correct.
Up there, past the Trappist monastery, and you would have looked down. You would have seen a beach and paddy fields.
Yeah, that's all about old trees everywhere.
Yeah. And even this area that this shop was built in 1978, so on reclaimed land. So
it was,
the water, the sea would come up
straight
to.
in, that's right, and that's why you had the typhoon shelter.
Right.
Even big junks used to sail in at high tide.
Really, you get to see big junks in this bay.
Oh yeah, inside when the typhoons were coming in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really wonderful.
I would have loved
nobody
to
looked
see
after the beach very well in those days.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of stuff came floating in.
Amazing days, and it's sort of early 70s.
Right, anyway, we went down into Silvermine Bay, climbed down, and one place was for sale,
right.
And another place was completely overgrown by creepers.
Right.
And we thought, well, we've got to hear somehow. So we went to the Department of Islands and found out who these places belonged to. Sure enough, we went into one that was given to us in Queen's Road, and the office of the islands found out who owned them. We went to see this gentleman, S.K. Wong, who had a shop on Queen's Road, selling women's underwear. And when I went into the shop and said, we're interested in renting your house on Silvermine Bay, he said, oh yeah, right, I do have a property there. And so he said, well, I'll tell you what, and he took us to his home to meet his wife, and he said, the old lady there said, yes, that if you look in that bed now, in that building which is all run down, you will find a bare bed with a bed frame there, and that frame bed is our marriage bed.
Oh, right.
And he did, and he said, if you care to live out there, he said, you can have it free for 6 months. And and if you care to renovate the building, whatever, after 6 months, and that's what we did, we took it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And the very next day we moved in, creepers or no creepers, broken glass everywhere. So that was where the Mui Wo Inn is now.
Oh right, where the Mui Wo Inn is, which is still there, yes. Yeah,
and then one huge typhoon came, Typhoon Rose, I think it was, and knocked the front wall, high tide, knocked the front wall out.
Wow.
And the only thing that's left there now, which I've built there, is the front wall, which I built to have holes in, so if the tide came up, it could have somewhere to go.
Drain out again.
So that's the front wall of Mui Wo Inn is what I put there.
Brilliant.
Rather nice to see something.
Oh, I'm going to check that one out now.
Right.
Yeah, so many times we go past that, and now we know a bit of history behind it. That's,
I mean, we've had
Peter Barry built that.
Absolutely, yeah. But the Hong Kong scene is one that I think would be relevant.
Okay, the Hong Kong scene.
The Hong Kong scene, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to play the Hong Kong scene now.
I enjoyed making it, that's for sure.
I've lived in Hong Kong many years, and people ask me how a Guaylo man can stand it here. Well, I'll tell you now. I like the way the mountains reach the sky and fall to the sea. The buildings too, they do the same, a wonder for all to see. And I like the way the sun shines nearly every day on lazy hawks and tropical plants. I think I'm here to stay. The changing scene since first I came is hard to believe. From a sleepy place on China's shores to a roaring apiary. Oh, the honeycomb of Hong Kong City, full of worker bees. A sprinkling of tourist drones, yes, we even have a queen. And the pollen to make money is collected in tidy sums, then thrown away as if to say there are honey things to come. As we race towards tomorrow in the time we call today, some things I'd like to stay the same, and these I'd like to say. Please keep the graceful sailing junks that sail the harbour here, an olive branch from China on wings of beauty rare, and the boat people of Aberdeen in Chong Chow and Tayo, the terraced farming in the NT, I hope these never go. I've lived in Hong Kong many years and I haven't seen it all. From the many walks on Lantau to the Kowloon City Wall, and I've never been to Canton Road.
On that record, you play
guitar,
and vocals, or
all the vocals are on me myself. Yes.
yeah. Okay.
It's a pretty good song for Silver Mine Bay. The two guitarists, funnily enough, I was playing guitar and somebody was listening over the wall, and he said, "Oh, you're playing guitar?" I said, "Yes." His name was Yank Wong, Chinese.
Yank Wong.
Yank Wong, yeah. He's a very famous. You can look up his Yank Wong on the.
Okay.
And he was a beautiful freelance guitar player.
Right.
And had a wonderful experience with him. And the other one was Robin Lynham.
Okay.
Again, it's a lovely guy. Free guitar playing, and it's magnificent. Songs of Hong Kong.
Yeah, so you made the album Songs of Hong Kong.
Right, 1983.
83.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did it all.
And when you say we, who else was in the band other than yourself?
It was only those two, and if we needed like a piano accordion occasionally,
yeah,
or some. We had a didgeridoo player.
Really?
So
From Australia?
Yeah, we found somebody who do that, playing the didgeridoo through the whole song, actually.
I love that sound.
That's a Kosciuszko song.
Yeah.
But you'll hear, again, there's some yodeling in it. The monologue that I play guitar and I speak it through it, the story of a man from Lancashire that makes good in Hong Kong.
I left the UK 10 years ago to come to Hong Kong for a week or so to fix a sewing machine in which last it broke. But boss kept me on with some sweet talk. He said, "I know this place is dirty and funny, but where there's muck, there's plenty of money. Besides, you're an expat, you can't go wrong." But I thought, I don't know, cob tackle is Hong Kong. Well, I stayed on for a year or so, and folks at home, they thought I was a weirdo. And a friend of mine in a letter he sent, said, I hear you're native in Durient. Well, I had to laugh, as it just weren't true. For after work, if only they knew, pubs stay open all night long. Oh, aye, come tackle his Hong Kong. Well, I was managing Factory Complete when plastic and sewing machines became obsolete. And to get more respect from local Chinese, I studied their language, Cantonese. I learned Joseon and Mkoi with no bothers, and worked overtime at night with others. And in no time, barrier had gone. Now I do know, Cobb tackle is Hong Kong. After 5 years, I got a bit lonely. They say it happens when you're away from family. So I took long leave in UK for summer, but I'd forgotten how summer could turn into winter. To see the folks was nice, eat black pudding and apple crumble, and visit Scorton, Garstang, Blackpool and Morecambe, but Wellingtons and mud for shorts and thongs. I had to try more of that Cobb tackle in Hong Kong. It was great to land back at Katak, smelt fragrant harbour and stuff like that. And back at the factory, working like crazy, I met a young lass who was ever so friendly. I courted her steady till I couldn't stand friends' chatter, so I popped a question to settle matter. We got married, Chinese style at Yuan Long. Now I'm part of Cobb tackle in Hong Kong. Well, the years roll by and times they've changed. I'm a Englishman now, and I'm not ashamed to be one of an hard-working kind. Makes a man proud and gives peace of mind. And my China wife, a smashing woman, 3 great children and 1 in t'oven. It's grand to be part of something young, like part of Cobb tackle in Hong Kong. Oh, I'm by gum.
Do you have a favourite Hong Kong restaurant?
Hong Kong restaurant. Well, Roman. Is it Roman?
Yeah.
And now it's just Rome.
Yeah. That's the oldest restaurant in... one of the oldest restaurants in Mui Wo, isn't it? Just along this parade along here.
Well, you've got another one, a big one for the rest and eating would be the China Bear.
Yeah.
Right, so that's open air one right by the ferry pier.
Yeah.
Always been started off as a man by the name of Doherty.
Yeah, I know.
Right, so his before any development were here, and there was a very big typhoon shelter which has already been built over already.
Right.
But the big junks used to come in there, and as time went on, you can see that the village itself, with the shops and restaurants and bakeries and the fish markets and the farming goods, of course, were all alive and well here in Hong Kong. The fishing boats, you can see the village, how it materialised when boats at high tides would be brought in with goods, and the tides would go out, and then they would display their goods and become a part of the village, and the village slowly got, the boats were there for good.
Right.
And the village was born as in the shops and restaurants, hardware shops were there, bakeries there, all in this little space, and of course they had their own slaughterhouses.
Really?
And it became very famous.
Yeah.
Silvermine Bay was for chashu and roast pork. So, yeah.
Because there was pig farms here, wasn't there?
Oh,
and,
every farmer had,
yeah.
Because that was another thing that early on at this time, that was pork, and they used to bring the pigs in from the fields from the way out.
Yeah. And
in these terrible cages.
Right.
They were
inhumane a bit.
Yeah, really nasty.
Yeah.
And there's a huge area next door to us, which is all closed. We'll be able to have hundreds of pigs there at one time.
Yeah.
But of course, like everything else, it got abused, and all the pig farmers and all effluent went into the rivers, which went into the bay, which had to close unsuitable for swimming quite a few years, until they banned pork and poultry farming.
Right.
When the China border opens up, the flood of all their cheap goods came into Hong Kong, and the Hong Kong farmer was totally out of business almost overnight, and a lot of the farms were just left abandoned, which you can see today.
Yeah.
And the funny strange thing is, which I'd like to mention, the pigs and the poultry became illegal. They made it illegal, so all that side of Silvermine Bay closed down, and then we had the arrival of banks, and the streets along the frontier, and the River Silver, of course, slowly added on as time went by. So that's as it is now.
That's how it was that's how Mui Wo, Silvermine Bay was in the late 70s. And it must have been an amazing sight, actually, to have junks in this typhoon harbour and set up as shops and sort of semi-permanent stores. Real hubbub of life.
Very much so.
I would have loved to have lived here in those times. And you, of course, lived on the seafront then at the Mui Wo Inn.
That's right.
In those days.
Yeah, we did. We turned it eventually. After 3 or 4 years, we turned it into a restaurant for ourselves, called the Sampan Restaurant.
Oh, right.
And we ran it for nearly 10 years.
Okay.
Because we had Ned Kelly's in Kowloon, that's another story.
Ned Kelly's, yes.
That was in the mix to start with. Well, me and Tom Parker started with Ned Kelly's.
Okay.
And he came in, it was a long story actually, we came in, we knew each other in Vietnam.
Right.
He had a mime act.
Okay.
Tom Parker did, and I had a one-man band singing for a couple of years.
Okay.
So the Americans left.
Yeah.
And so did Ned Kelly. They very nearly. I just stayed with it, but it did stay, and it's still there today, of course.
The oldest bar in Hong Kong.
In 73.
And you and Tom Parker set that up. And Tom Parker, is he still with us? Or?
I'm not sure. I sent him a book the other day, actually.
Yeah.
And he said he was very happy, great that somebody has taken to writing a book about it.
Yes.
So it was originally Ned Kelly's last stand in Mui Wo, because Peter got fed up with the pub scene,
right?
Because there's just too many drunkards, basically. Right? And
from a non-drinker,
I'd come along at that time, so they wanted to change. So it was Ned Kelly's last stand in Mui Wo that later became the Sampan, and that's the little bit of the picket fence concrete wall that you see on the side. So that's still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a picture of Ned Kelly's last stand, which is on the site of the Mui Wo Inn, which was set up by yourself and Tom Parker.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
In TST. And it's still there.
Yes.
But they wanted to open a branch. I thought, okay, well, the one in Mui Wo can send customers to TST.
Yeah.
And that's the Ned Kelly's Lantau became the Sampan.
The Sampan, I love it.
And we raised we ran that for 7 or 8 years.
Really? Very cool times.
My wife and I were the only Western people, and from the time we saw it to the time we left there, it was only about 7 or 8 years.
We'll try and put up a picture of that Ned Kelly's last stand.
Yeah, I think it would be
on the thing, so people can get an idea. And that is where the Mui Wo Inn is now. We have Peter's book here for sale, which is the sort of first 40 years of his life, sort of memoir, as childhood in Lancashire farm, etc. All right, so that just remains for me to say, Peter Barry, thank you very much.
Gary, same to you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
You can listen to all our Vibrations podcasts, published on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Music, TuneIn and Alexa, Stitcher, Listen Notes, Player FM, SoundCloud and a few others. Or you can watch on our YouTube channel under Live at VIBEHK, or follow the links from my website at vibehk.com. The opening and closing music comes from Celestial and is called Green Island Dub, and is on the Retrospect vinyl album on sale at Vibe. Finally, a reminder that Vibe is open 7 days a week, every day of the year from 12 noon until approximately 6:30 p.m. Thanks for listening to the 48th Vibe Book and Music Shop podcast called VIBErations. I'm Gary Brightman. You get my vibe?
Can you imagine what this old island must have looked like to those Dutch sailors when they first saw it? Fresh green. Like a dream of a new world.
They must have held their breath. Afraid it would disappear before they could touch it.